I would like to welcome everyone to this webinar. Good to see this turnout here. Thank you for arranging the time and joining us. And I would like to start to tell you all that after much back and forth between everyone and the news that have been coming out, that we start with the good news first, that the Portuguese Golden Visa will remain open. In essence, the reduced time frame of physical presence and the ability to apply for citizenship after 5 years will remain on the table. Just we'll have some changes in the investment options, but the essence of the program remains the same. Together with us, I have the pleasure of hosting today Akash. Akash is from Strokes and Ground and he's been a partner to us. He's helped a lot of our clients finalize their investments in Portugal and apply for golden visas. I would let the man himself introduce his product and his company and why he's here with us today. Take it away, Akash, please.
Thank you so much for this, Andre, and thank you so much, Passport Legacy, for the opportunity that has been given to us. And yes, it's been a long-standing partnership with Stokes and Ground and Passport Legacy since the time we stepped into the Portugal Golden Visa space, developing real estate in Portugal. Now, our history comes from India, from the city called Mumbai, where we have been developing residential, commercial spaces for the last 37 years. This is our 4th decade into construction. And this is our 4th year in Portugal, interestingly. We've been doing this since 1986. And if I have to tell you more about it, I think I'll let Andre lead a bit more about the Portuguese Golden Visa, and then we talk about Strokes and Ground.
Indeed. So we'll go through the beautiful projects that Strokes and Ground developed in Portugal over the years, how they help their clients and investors obtain nice properties and products and qualify for the Golden Visa. Now for you, just a bit of context and how the Golden Visa came to be and how did we get where we are here. So as some of you may know, in 2012, Portugal was deep in an economical and financial crisis. And the government was pressed to come up with solutions to raise international investment into the country. Besides other measures, what the government devised was a residency by investment program by means of which qualifying investors could acquire a property in Portugal or do other types of investment and obtain a residency. Now, the special characteristic of this residency, why the program became so popular over the years, is that the fact that you can maintain this residency by spending only 7 days per year in Portugal in average. On top of that, after 5 years of holding this residency and with this physical presence requirement, which was very reduced, you could still apply for citizenship, provided that on top of the residency, you still had the language requirement met as well. The language requirement is quite basic. We're talking basic knowledge of the Portuguese language. No, you don't need to know grammar. You don't need to know anything too complicated. And this maintained the interest in the program for many years, even in relation to the European competition there, namely Spain and Greece. The qualifying investments in this first incarnation in what I would call Golden Visa 1.0 was property investment in the amount of 500,000 euro, capital investments in the amount of 1 million euro, and job creation, the creation of 10 job posts or more. In fact, the program became so successful that in 2017, the government saw fit to include more investment options, lowering investment amounts, and riding on this wave of popularity. Together with these routes, what was added was the possibility of obtaining the Golden Visa by doing a private equity fund investment of 350,000 euro, or doing a property acquisition together with refurbishment of the property for 350,000 euro. These routes, because they lowered the minimum threshold needed to qualify for the program, projected the program even more. I can say I've been doing this for quite some time, that these years were the years where I saw more the interest really blossoming in all kinds of jurisdictions. Together with this, the government introduced the possibility of a discount of 20% if the property was located in certain areas, meaning that in effect, the investment amount started at 280,000 euro. this was not very popular right away, but it would prove popular in the future. I will give back to Akash so that he can show you the beautiful projects and properties that Strokes and Ground developed during this time and that qualified under these routes, and give you a bit of pictures and a bit of drizzle, let's say, to make the presentation more interesting.
Well, thank you again. So as you can see, Strokes and Ground is the company name. I represent the company called Strokes and Ground in Lisbon. And we started, like I said, we started back in 1986. That was the construction business that we started in the city called Mumbai. And since then, we have developed more than 12 million square feet. By 2025, we'll be one of the very few developers in India to be crossed a mark of 16 plus million square feet before its time. Yes, we are known to deliver the developments before its stipulated timeline. More than $1 billion project under management, 14 plus recognized awards. And if I have to pick and choose out of the 30 construction projects that we have, we've got one project by the name of Marina Bay in Worli. Yes, you can Google it, and which has received internationally acclaimed awards like from CNN and Economic Times. So that's about our story back in India. But since 2019, when we stepped in Portugal, we're known by the name of Strokes and Ground. We have a team of around 90 people today, and we plan on expanding more. I take care of the global partnerships, just like Passport Legacy over here. And what we've developed until today, our very first project, which was eligible for €500,000 product, like it started in real estate investments, was Royal 20. On to the left-hand side of the screen, if we have a look at it, this beautiful red color building is right in an area called Príncipe Real in the capital city of Lisbon. And when we started this, we already got the news that from January 2021, January 2022, we will not be able to invest in any of the residential properties in Lisbon or any of the high density areas. Now, the completion of this project was a little far, was in December, but we completed the project by September 2021. All of them one-bedroom apartment with an average size of 500 square feet, 500 to 550 square feet. All of them sold for €500,000. In fact, some of them paid a 10% extra as well for the last unit which was there. Now, having said that, as a management, as the company, we decided to give something back as it was our very first project and we got an amazing response. So to compensate that, we put all the investors' unit on the rent over there, on the lease, and we are still paying the service fee for all the lease out there. And that's how we keep our relations with our investors. So that was the whole story of our very first project called Royal 20, which is successfully standing on the streets of Príncipe Real in Lisbon today. Now, on the right-hand side, what you see is Estrella 55. Now, this is again our luxury product in Lisbon. I'm so sorry to take the light away from Golden Visa, but this is our flagship project in Lisbon, which is a local real estate product having 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, and 4-bedroom residences overlooking the beautiful Tagus River and 25th April Bridge, which ranges between 750,000 to 1.1 million euros. So that's about our real estate portfolio delivered worth more than 17 million. Along with this, we also have some experience of setting up private equity in Lisbon, in fact, in Portugal. And with that, our commitment was a little over 50 million euros, which has been delivered till date. And if the time permits, and if we have to go back to the equity, I think we are gearing up very well on that. So that was about what we have delivered and what we have done in Portugal and what our plans are. Maybe we can take it forward with Passport Legacy from here on.
Amazing. I cannot commend enough. And I did quite a lot of real estate transactions and I have a knowledge of the market. I cannot commend you enough for being able to deliver on time and before time. Not because of anything, but licensing and construction in Portugal can be quite challenging, especially for a first-time developer. So this was very well done by Strokes and Ground on that side. Now, this remained for a few years. As Akash said, on 1st January 2022, there was yet another change by the government. This aimed to curb rising housing prices in Portugal. The government recognized that this could be caused by the Golden Visa and the Golden Visa transaction, so they introduced some restrictions on the market on what could qualify and how. The most significant change, in my opinion, was the fact that residential properties in Lisbon, Porto, and in general the coastal areas would no longer qualify for the program. I would say that 70-80% of the people that went through this program, they invested in properties with these characteristics. In addition to that, the private equity funds investment amount was raised from 350,000 to 500,000. And capital investments, just to round it up and to complete, were raised from 1 million euros to 1.5 million euros. In terms of housing, I'm not sure, I don't hold the numbers, but in terms of what we've seen in terms of applications, in terms of influx and input from clients, was a massive increase in the number of applications that were submitted in the last quarter of 2021 as in to benefit from the older rules. What happened after this? After this, it was a bit of a new ground for all service providers, I would say, real estate developers, advisors like ourselves, and everyone connected to the industry in Portugal. People were to find a new product that would qualify under the new investment routes, meaning that it would have to be done in the interior of Portugal to be residential, meaning that it would have to be done in the low population or low development areas of Portugal, and it would have to respect a dozen of other characteristics. What we've seen was a raise in the offering of 280,000 euros investment, and this is what we've been experiencing for the past year and a half, was a consistent increase in this type of developments. Now, we try to be very criterious, and at this juncture, there then when we met Strokes and Ground and we started our partnership with, because they appeared with a very enticing project that ticked all the boxes, offered something to the investors, and more importantly than everything, qualified for the Golden Visa. I'll let Akash tell you about this project and why most of our clients found it a very attractive proposition and ultimately went with it as a basis for their Golden Visa applications.
Thank you again, Andre, for this. Sorry, is my screen loading? Yeah. Now, as we all know, before I mention the project or before I mention anything about this product, we all know real estate holds the most value for where it is located, which by that I mean the location. Now, the location of this project by the name of Grand Vista is in a wine town of Borba in the district of Evora. Now, we all know that there are many projects in Evora out there, but a very few which are bordering to Spain. Now, this is exactly 5 minutes, our property is just 5 minutes away from the A6 highway, which is mostly used for the European road trips, and it becomes A5 highway going into the Spain. Currently, if you look at all the people in Portugal, and I think Andre will agree to this, people who want to invest their money into wine or vineyards or wine farms, basically, they typically invest their money in Borba and Porto. It produces the highest and the best quality of grape seeds, the core trees and the olive trees. So that's where it's basically in a nest of nature where we have invested our money. I'd like to show you a glimpse of it. Yeah, that's the location. So if you look at this and if you look at the cursor, where it moves, it is spread across the expanse of 1.4 million square feet, namely 14 hectares over here. Now, the beauty of this property is that we have got a 600-year-old church, a convento, which is still used for the weddings by the villages in and around in Portugal and Spain. And we envision to make this a destination wedding center along with a wellness center and a hotel for 258 guests or 258 rooms. Along with it, we see a winery coming up. We see a cork tree and olive tree plantation. Now, you may say that where is all this coming? Well, let me just show you where exactly this is. And let me give you a short drone video of this. That's by the name of Convento da Luz, and Grand Vista will be an ultra luxury hotel. It's taking you through the water body, the swimming pool that we are making inside the hotel. That's one example of the outdoor sit-out areas. Sorry. I'm sorry for the glitch. That's where we are approaching the 258 room buildings. That is the wellness center and 36 rooms for the wellness center. The entire property overlooks the mountains and the valleys. And that's how you'll have a view of your vineyard. And this is how currently the convento or the church looks like. The renovation work starts this December, and the completion of the project is in the Q1 of 2027. What we present to you is an investment in Grand Vista, this beautiful property bordering to the Spain, right in between the Portugal and Spain border, is a global wellness destination along with the paradise of wine for the wine connoisseurs. Now, by that, what we mean is we anticipate over here the rates for the wellness center for a couple would be anywhere between 4 to 4,500 euros for a week, and one of the best winemaking experiences that you can ever have in Portugal. So that's our goal. That's our aim of what we are making in Portugal, or what we are making in Borba. A wellness center which includes therapy from a reverse heart aging to the joint pain and joint relief therapy program, reverse heart aging, basically every problems that you can have after the age of 45. And a beautiful winemaking process, a process that includes right from glass, from grape to glass, or from barrel to bottle. Along with a tasting room, a merchandise shop. And here's the investment opportunity, where it still qualifies under the current regime of 280,000 euros. We'll be having a total of 470 investors, out of which we have already sold to 89, approximately 90 investors. And our construction is already taken care at 100 to 105 investors, considering the variables of the construction years. I've spread across a total of 14 hectares. What we present to you today is a buyback, 100% guaranteed buyback, an upfront 5% return on your investment, which means when you invest 280,000, within 30 days, you get 14,000 euros back into your account. So that's one-time upfront return that we are giving you today under the lowest investment category of 280,000. And once the property is ready, you and your family get the 7 days of stay in Grand Vista. So that's the opportunity that we bring to you, while it's still available in Grand Vista. And here are a few pictures of the property from different angles. From here on, I'll hand over to Andre.
Amazing, Akash. Thank you so much for showing your project. I've been to this presentation a couple of times, and I'm still amazed by it, and looking forward to staying there one day when the project is completed.
Absolutely.
Now, the reason why I guess most of us are here are to hear what will happen next. So this is where I think we can safe to say that we're entering Golden Visa 3.0. What happened was, as most of you might heard, is that on the 16th of February this year, the government somewhat abruptly and unexpectedly announced the intention of terminating the Golden Visa Program. This caused major shockwaves in the industry, a flurry of applications again, because people were thinking that the program would end for good, and a lot of back and forth between government, parliament, stakeholders like Akash, like a bunch of service providers in this industry, on how to tweak the program and how to make it work. This came within a legislative package to boost and solve residential problems in Portugal. Now, after much back and forth, as I said, the government came out and backpedaled, and at the end of the day, they said that they would allow the Golden Visa to continue, which was very good news, allow all applications that were submitted up to this point under the current rules to be processed, and for these applicants to go through with their residency program, and at the end of the day apply for either citizenship or permanent residency. This was supposed to come into force during this summer, after the legislative process was somewhat longer and a presidential veto of the law. What we have on the table is, under the current rules, you can still do for 280,000 euros your golden visa. You can still qualify acquiring real estate that qualifies, such as Grand Vista Hotel. So at this point in time, depending on where you are in the initial process of opening your bank account, obtaining your taxpayer number, all this initial setup that you need to set up an investment in Portugal, you can still do. We estimate, and this is widely known and accepted in the industry, that if you can complete your investment within the next 20 to 25 days, you can submit the application under these rules and still benefit from having the Grand Vista as your project. Now, what we need to discuss in detail is what comes after that, and what, in my opinion, means Golden Visa 3.0. Once again, the essentials and the fundamentals of the program do not change. You still have the opportunity of doing a somewhat passive investment in Portugal, obtaining a residency that enables you to maintain this residency by only spending 7 days in Portugal every year, and at the end of 5 years, apply for citizenship. What is changing once again are the qualifying investment rules. I must stress again that for all of us that are hearing us, that if you submitted your application already, if your application is under processing, if you invested, and if you've submitted your application is safeguarded, the law that will come into force is not retroactive, will not affect your rights. This will not increase your your minimum stay requirements or anything of the sort. What is coming now is for people who will complete their investments after the new law comes into force, is that their chances are simplified and narrowed. So to give you a rundown, we're talking the return of the private equity investment funds at 500,000 euro. 500,000 euro. What is the major difference here is that these funds will not be allowed to invest in real estate. So this will not mean much for the end user. It will not mean much for a prospect who is looking into investment options. It will mean that the offer will be reshuffled. We'll look into what qualifies and what not, and what funds can qualify under this route. The funds are a somewhat interesting option. They always were, because compared to a property, the investment acquisition costs are lower. In a property, we're talking between 5 to 6% of costs on top. In the funds, we're talking between 1 to 2%. In most cases, there are no taxes paid on the income generated by the funds, and you can expect 5 to 7% return on a yearly basis. The level of commitment is different, due diligence is different, but in all, it can be a very interesting option. one needs to consider that it is a significant pricier ticket than what is being discussed now. We're talking about €500,000, and it can be more steep for certain investors. The second investment option that stays is the job creation. Now, by far, this has been always the most least popular option for obvious reasons. You have to create 10 jobs in Portugal, or you have to invest €500,000 in a company with the creation of 5 job posts. This option by default is very active, it's very hands-on, it demands that the investor stays in Portugal and looks after their investment and what kind of business they are developing and what are these workers doing in Portugal. So from the top of my head, I would say that in 10 years of program, there were less than 20 of this type of investments in Portugal. And last but not least, the one that will become the more accessible option is the artistic and cultural investment starting at €200,000. Now, this can seem very appealing for investors. The question here in this type of investment is the offers. What is there on the table? This is what we are looking at. This is what we're trying to look at together with Akash and Strokes and Ground, if there's any way that we can develop any product at this segment that qualifies for the Golden Visa. This will be a long process of discussion and seeing what can be done. These new rules, as once again, they will not come into effect until 25 to 30 days from now. We're already preparing ground and seeing what qualifies as an investment. You can feel free to get in touch with us and to see how can you benefit from the Golden Visa and where can you invest your savings and your funds into it. Most important, and this can never be stressed enough, is that the minimum stay requirement remains an average of 7 days every year, as does the possibility of applying for citizenship after 5 years of holding the residency. We've been having some long discussions for the past few days, us and our partners such as Strokes and Ground. I would just like to hear what is Akash's take on the new rules and what can be done and what needs to be done, especially from someone who's experienced both with the real estate side of proceedings, someone who has already developed private equity funds, and I would like to hear his take, and so I will give it back to him.
Well, thank you so much, Andre, again. We've got, like you correctly pointed out, that nothing changes apart from the investment vehicle. Nothing else changes for the Golden Visa. Nothing else changes for the residency per se. When we talk about the rules or the eligibility of going towards your PR or citizenship, we are very, very bullish on Portugal as a market, Portugal as a real estate market, and as an equity market as well. For somebody like ourselves who has experience in setting up a private equity and successfully delivering numbers of 50 million, not north of 50 million. While we speak, our management is in Lisbon structuring a product. Now, maybe it is through an SPV, or if it is an asset-backed or not asset-backed product. That is something that we'll look after in next 30 to 45 days. That's the timeline that we look at. But while the program is still into the old regime for another 20 to 30 or 35 days, Grand Vista is still available for investment, and we are still taking in applications.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you for lifting the curtain a bit on what is coming next. I think it's a good time for anyone that has any questions to drop in the meeting chat. I'm sure there will be some questions on how to proceed, and if you still have time, you have time. Basically, it's the takeaway that I would like to, and the assurance that I would like to give to prospects, to my colleagues, and to other players in the industry. You have time. What you need to adjust is your expectations when it comes to the investment, what can be done. Depending on where you are in the process, yes, you can still do property. No, there is not a fixed time date on when this will change. On when this will change, we anticipate 20 to 25 days. This is very accurate. Everyone is kind of saying the same thing. in terms of what we can expect in the future, it's very clear what the government wants and what will be the new investment route, so that we can prepare ourselves for, as we called it, Golden Visa 3.0 and what is coming in the future. I will allow some time for the participants to drop any questions. Well, I don't see much action here in our chat. Anyway, the recording will be distributed. You can rewatch. You can, if there's any point that you can raise, you can. If you're interested in finding out more about Strokes and Ground and their product, you feel free to get in touch with us as well. We have all the materials. We're consistently in touch with Akash and their team. So if you have any questions about the project, feel free to get in touch with us. We'll be happy to assist you with anything. And thank you so much for cutting a bit of your time to sit with us today and to hear about this beautiful program and the projects of Strokes and Ground.
Thank you so much for joining us today.